everybody, this is Dan for GemmyD on Cars. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button to get lots more cool content. This is the 4th US hot hatch that I've driven. Now it sort of completes the circle, but today we are looking at the 2019 Subaru WRX STI. Now this is the top of the range, rally car inspired, race bred, all-wheel drive. This has a 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder with 305 horsepower, 290 foot-pounds of torque. Now, this car is sort of on the same stage as like the Focus RS and the Civic Type R and the Golf R, and I have driven all three of those, so this is the 4th one. So I'm going to be comparing this car to those cars about how they feel and how they look and how they sound. But I've been dying to drive this car for a while, and look, I got a special white wrap installed in this car just for me. I'm just kidding. It's the plastic from the dealer. But anyway, let's take a look at this car. Alright, so we're going to talk about the exterior styling of this car, and I think it looks really good. For 2019 and 2018, there's been a couple new differences that sort of sweeten the package. But first off, we need to talk about the wing first, but these wheels look fantastic. Now, this car has Brembo brakes, 6-piston caliper up front, 2-piston in the rear. It's got 19-inch wheels. Now, a typical color scheme for this car is the blue with the gold wheels or the blue with the red trim. Now, in doing my research for this car, I found out that when Subaru was coming up in the rally scene in the 80s and 90s, one of their first sponsors was a smoking cigarette company that their colors were blue and yellow. That's why Subarus have the iconic blue and yellow colors whenever you go see them around. But this one is silver with the black and red trim Alcantara seats, which are very nice. But yeah, so we need to talk about this wing, because this is sort of how you differentiate a STI from a regular WRX in the wild. I think it looks really good. This is a staple for this car. Now, the Civic Type R's wing is a little bit more crazy than this car, but this is nearly just as crazy. I mean, you can definitely see it through the rear view mirror. You just know it's there, but this is sort of special to the STI. Now, look at these pipes too. Now, I have done an exhaust video just sort of talking about how this thing sounds, but it sounds so nice. You've got sort of a diffuser back here just to channel the air around. But this car, it's been around for a while. This car has the same engine it's had since 2008, which some people sort of complain about how they haven't upgraded the engine, or you know, they've just sort of stuck to the same tried and true 2.5 liter turbo 4 symmetrical all-wheel drive. We know that Subarus are famous for the all-wheel drive, but this car looks really good. You've got a STI specific little vent here with the STI badging. Now, coming up front, this car has sort of been redesigned in the past few years. It used to have some fog lights here and a little turn signal down here. Now everything is moved up to the headlights. Now you've got the daytime running lights right here, which I think look really mean. I'll put a picture in there. You've got the STI badging right here on the grille. You've got the typical Subaru badge. Not as aggressive up front as the other cars like the Focus RS or the Civic Type R. But let's be honest, nothing is aggressive as a Civic Type R, and not a good thing in my opinion. This is more subtle and understated, sort of in the same vein as like a Golf Type R, which if you see a Golf R, you know it's a Golf R. If you see this wing on this car, you know it's an STI. But you've got the same hood scoop that they've always had. You can't really see it just because this plastic is in the way, but this is a brand new car. It's still not owned by anybody. But yeah, this car sort of has a presence. You see that wing coming from far away, you know it's an STI. Just look at the color of these brake calipers. That is fantastic. I love the dark finish wheels. These are 19 inches all around, Yokohama tires, typical Japanese brand. But yeah, this car it's aggressive looking. It's sort of middle of the road as far as aggression, but I like the way it looks. I love the wing. The taillights are kind of functional looking. You know, you've got the LEDs right here for your brake lights, and that's your turn signal and reverse. So now let's take a look at the inside. Now, before I go to the inside, did you know this, whoever's watching this, did you know that WRX stands for World Rally Experiment? Now, I've talked about it before, but Subaru has been famous for having rally cars, and this is just their road car version of that, but it stands for World Rally Experimental, and STI stands for Subaru Technica International. It's almost kind of like an M brand or an AMG or like an RS for Audi, just sort of distinction of the top level cars. So let's take a look at the inside. Now, as soon as you open the door, you are greeted by some STI kick plates here. They've got the plastic here. This is a typical user-friendly Subaru interior, and I kind of like what they've done. It's very simple but effective. Now, you've got a 7-inch touchscreen for 2019. You've got a 6-speed manual right here, and this is such a nice manual. Very easy to use, nice bite point. Up here, you've got some pertinent information about what the car is doing. Let me just turn this bad boy on. You've got a typical twisty key. Not many cars have a twisty key anymore. It's kind of nice to see that. So let's start her up. Now, in the middle of the screen here, it has your information screens about your SI drive and your center differential information. That's the type of stuff you can change from right here. So right here, this is called S drive, and this is sort of like the driving modes of the car. SI drive, you've got sport, you've got sport, sharp, and intelligent. I guess sort of puts it into the correct modes for whatever you want. Now, I know that most people typically drive in sport, but if you go to sport sharp, you know, it'll tighten up your throttle response, give you a little better sound. But yeah, just driving this car for a few minutes already, this is such a sweet stick. Nice short throw. If I just go like this real quick, very nice short direct throws. I mean, you wouldn't think it would be that. You think it would go a lot further down, but it's definitely nice. You've got a STI badge in here so you know what you're driving. But yeah, this is sort of function follows the form. You know, you've got the nice little touches for the STI. I like the red on top of the shifter. But the infotainment screen is nice and easy to use. Up here is sort of where you go between the modes. Speedometer goes up to 180. You've got a 6,600 RPM red line. We will not be testing that out today. I'm definitely going to go for a ride, but we're not going to sort of beat this thing up too bad. Now, the C diff over here, it doesn't, for auto, you can go in auto plus and auto minus. It's just a couple different driving modes. Now, this car has a limited slip differential at the front and the back with a 41% front and 59% rear power distribution at all times, but each of the differentials are individually locking, so just sort of lends to the rally heritage and the all-wheel drive that Subaru is known for. Now, one reason why you would pick this car over WRX is because the WRX has a center locking differential, but this car has two different limited slip differentials that you can sort of distribute the power how you want with this. Now, this button down here is called the DCCD, which is driver controlled center differential. So this is the button right here where you can control all that stuff. Now, everything else is your typical nice trim. These are beautiful Alcantara seats with the red trim. I think the red trim looks really nice with the silver color. You've got the STI badges in the headrest right here. Sort of classy looking, not bright red, but the seat belts here. Everything looks pretty nice. I mean, when you're spending $38,000 on a car, which is the price of this car, with 305 horsepower, I mean, that's got some impressive stats. So you want to have the nice stitching and the nice materials that you do. Especially up here, you've got a nice red stitching along the top sort of shroud right here. But overall, this is very typical Subaru. It's not going to be the most flashiest interior, but it's very nice. You've got all the creature comforts of a car that should have in 2019. So let's take a look at the back seat. Now, I will make this short and sweet, but if you're spending this kind of money on a car, you'd like to have a functional back seat. The seat is nice. This is the position where I had my chair. I've definitely got room. You've got more room for your legs right here. But yeah, this is nice. You've got the same Alcantara back here. Here's my equipment. The same trim. You've got the same seat belts except for the middle one, but fits the bill. If you're a guy that likes fast cars and you got kids to put back here, more than enough. So let's take this thing out on the road. Now, real quick before we get out on the road, I just want to check out the trunk space. Now, you've got a rear-facing camera here. You've got this massive wing in front of you. I'm sure that never gets old. Jeez, it gets so close to hitting when you open up the trunk. That's okay. But yeah, this is a mid-sized car. That's a big trunk. I mean, that's more than adequate for somebody that has a kid or 2 kids to throw your stuff in there. I'd like to think that somebody who buys this type of car is, you know, goes to work during the week, and over the weekend you can either take this on a trip or you can go to autocross, rally events. You can do whatever you want. So now let's get this thing out on the road.